Many find it difficult to break through the corporate glass ceiling, despite the fact that more than half of them are very educated. What's more, many Asian Americans are having a hard time just fitting in. Researchers say that's why they're seeing a dangerous trend involving suicide. More on that in just a moment. First, correspondent Yul Kwan with more on Asian Americans trying to break the glass ceiling.
I would definitely be in a higher level management position.
I would like to be a judge.
I want to have my own real estate investment firm.
I'd like to eventually be a partner in a consulting firm.
I definitely see myself being like a CEO as well, or being part of a Fortune 500 company.
Ambitious goals. These UCLA students have already succeeded academically, but will they professionally? As a whole, Asian Americans are highly educated, with 50% of adults holding college degrees. But when it comes to senior executive positions in corporate America, they hold less than 1%. So why do Asian Americans have such a hard time breaking through the glass ceiling?
What we found basically was that there was somewhat of a conflict between quote-unquote Asian values and success in corporate America.
Gordon Liao and Philip Seng, both graduates of the Harvard Business School, did a study showing that in addition to stereotypes about Asian Americans and subtle forms of racism, a cultural divide also existed.
In ancient China, if you succeeded and did well, the bosses came to you for promotions. In America, you do a good job, you succeed, you need to go approach your bosses about getting promoted.
But that necessary strategy to challenge authority, self-promote, and take risks is something that clashes with Asian values and holds this population back, according to Jane Hyun, a former HR executive and author of the book Breaking the Bamboo Ceiling.
If you quack too loud, or if you're too different or too unique, you're going to get shot down. Whereas a lot of times here in America, we talk a lot about if you want to change something, if you want to add value, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's what this was intended for. It was all.
But a few successful Asian American executives have been able to break through by adapting their behavior.
I think there was something about not being afraid to speak my mind and not being afraid to challenge authority or the status quo. And I think that's something that's helped me. I don't think it's really held other people back necessarily if they don't have that, but people need to garner their own styles.
And that approach has also worked for David Un, a VP at Google.
What did you do right as opposed to other Asian Americans that you saw within your own cohort?
I don't consider myself, maybe this is my Asianness, right? I don't know that I've succeeded in any particular way. I'm pleased with what I do. I enjoy what I do. One really has to think about pushing and reaching outside of your own bubble.
It's not about losing your Asian values. It's about taking the Asian values and applying it to learn new skills that will hopefully succeed in the organization that you're in.
That push to succeed has proven to be quite stressful for many Asian Americans, especially young women. The numbers are staggering. Asian American women between the ages of 15 and 24 had the most suicides among all U.S. women. That according to the latest report by the Department of Health and Human Services. Added to that, suicide is the second leading cause of death for Asian American women in the same age range. Eliza No knows all too well about this situation. Ms. No has been studying the Asian American suicide link and other mental health problems since 1990. That is when her sister took her own life. Ms. No now teaches at California State University at Fullerton. Ms. No, thank you for joining us. If you don't mind, ma'am, take me back to 1990 and the relationship you had with your sister. Were you close?
Yeah, we were very close. I was a college student. My sister was also a college student. We were at different universities. And I just received a phone call one day that she had taken her life, and it was a tragic incident that deeply affected my family.
Why do you think she did it?
There were several factors. I think one important factor was that she felt this incredible pressure to do well in school, to have a good career. She was being pressured to become a doctor. And I think it just created a lot of self-doubt for her because she found that she couldn't always meet the grade. So there was an incredible amount of pressure, and then she just felt really obligated and couldn't fulfill those obligations.
Where was this pressure coming from?
A lot of it was coming from my parents. My parents are immigrants, and we're therefore children of immigrants. And for my parents, and for a lot of immigrants, it's really important to do well in this country, to thrive and to succeed. And so the children of immigrant parents tend to want to please their parents. So for my sister, that was definitely the case, that she wanted to do well and do as well as or better than my parents did.
Okay, so you've been studying for the better part of 17 years on this topic. When you look at the different women of different ethnic and racial persuasions, is there any one group that stands out in your mind that is under more pressure than any other, be it Korean, Japanese, Chinese, or something else?
Oh, particular Asian American ethnic groups? Well, the statistics aren't very complete, but what we do know is that certain ethnic groups are more at risk. For instance, Chinese American elderly women over 65 are particularly at risk. We also know that Filipina teens, girls who are in high school, elementary school, are at the highest risk of depression across race and ethnicity as well as gender.
What do you think should be done about this? Because some would say that it's not a bad thing to have a bit of pressure from mom and dad to help you succeed, or to have some pressure within, because if you don't have that, you might not get the best out of yourself.
Sure, certain motivation, encouragement, a little bit of pressure is good, but I think that because there are a couple of factors. I mean, one is that the pressure coming from the parents, some people say it's a cultural pressure, that there's this value of education, emphasis on education and doing well. That's a good kind of motivational pressure. But when that gets to be too much, when everyone is expected to succeed, and this is a social stereotype, really becomes two-dimensional, and not everyone can succeed. So when people can't succeed, they begin to blame themselves. And I think a lot of that has to do with the model minority pressure.
Ms. No, you are Korean and Vietnamese, is that correct?
Yes.
Who
yes,
is Korean and who's Vietnamese, mom or dad?
In my family, my father is Korean, my mother is Vietnamese.
Do you feel more pressure from your dad than from your mom? How does it shake out?
In my family, mostly it comes from my father's side, but I think that also is because he's the male of the family, the patriarch of the family. So he's kind of the leader of the family. So I don't know if that's necessarily a cultural difference.
All right. I came across an interesting article recently, and if anybody is a fan of golf, you'll see that that the South Korean women are having tremendous success. Now there's news coming out that a lot of them are living under a tremendous amount of pressure, and Michelle Wie is probably at the top of that. And if you think about it, she was really the next big thing, the next Savory Park, the next Annika Sorenstam, maybe even the women's version of Tiger Woods, but she has struggled. And a lot of people think that's because she has overbearing parents. I just wonder what you think about that.
I think that that is typical of many Korean American parents. A lot of Korean parents are immigrants, and they look to their children to do well. And so we see now, because she's doing so well, a lot of Korean Americans are watching her, and so they're thinking that, well, my child can do that, whether it be in sports or academics and so forth.
I wonder how your life is now. I know if you were close with your sister, obviously you miss her, but have you dialed things down a little bit? I guess your efforts to succeed, have you maybe not necessarily lowered the bar, but do you just enjoy the smell of the roses and take walks in the grass? What's your life like?
Yeah, well, and it's this event that happened in our life, my sister passing away, is it's something that you never recover from, and so it devastated my family. For me, I feel that now that I have my own family, I have to learn to kind of slow down and appreciate my family. And that's definitely, my sister's passing away has definitely made me appreciate life more. And my parents also, my entire family, we always remember my sister.
And among your peers and contemporaries, do you ever see people going down a similar path to you and you say, hey, wait a minute, I think I know what's going on, let me try and dial you back?
Yeah, I mean, when my study announcement went out, when people started to find out that my study was out there, that it's being conducted, I received countless emails and phone calls from Asian American women in their 20s and 30s, some in their 40s, telling me about their experiences. And they are just so relieved to know that the study is happening, and they actually are surprised that people are focusing on this now.
All right, Eliza No, thank you for taking us behind the curtain of a topic that I know is difficult for some people to talk about, and condolences on the loss of your sister. I know it's been some time, but I know you miss her terribly. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. What do you think about this topic? Do you think there is a different set of standards for Asian Americans? What about other cultures? Share your thoughts. Log on to cn8.tv and let us know what you think about that.